Welcome back to LaExcellence Bengaluru presents current issue of the day, episode number 156. In today's episode, we'll be learning a very important and interesting topic, that is IPR or intellectual property rights and generative AI. Okay, so we'll see why it is in news and what is the issue with IPR and generative AI. What are the legal concepts involved and what are the ethical and societal issues involved and how they are different from each other, and what are the global and Indian implications and what are certain cases specific to India and how do you address these. So in GS, in a syllabus, it comes under GS paper 2, governance and laws and ethics, in GS paper 3, science and tech, and in essay, impact of AI on society, creativity and law. Just by seeing this, you can understand how important the topic is, and important especially in the coming mains. So keywords, key points which I am mentioning in the video, just make a note of it. So context here is, there were two landmark rulings or judgments in the USA in June 2024 in lawsuits or cases involving Anthropic or Claude AI, which is a large language model similar to ChatGPT, and Meta's Llama, which is again a large language model, mark the first major judicial interpretations of whether training artificial intelligence models on copyrighted content constitutes fair use or copyright infringement. Okay, so this itself is a very heavy value loaded. First we'll understand AI training, how AI are trained. I will give an example with respect to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a generative AI model. Okay, generative AI. What does this mean? It generates content on its own. For example, if you ask ChatGPT about any particular topic, it can give various interpretations of the particular topic. Okay, so you can ask it about AI versus ethics. Okay, it will give certain interpretations. If you want in favor of AI, it will give certain interpretation here, certain interpretation there, and certain etc interpretation. Okay, you might wonder, how did it learn to give such interpretation? Okay, is it self-learned? Obviously no. Then how did it learn to give such interpretations? How did it learn to think so, like individually, think like human beings and give separate interpretations? This is possible because of a method or a technology, not the technology, but because of training. Okay, the method is called as training. Sorry, I was not able to get the word properly. So before generative AI, or suppose ChatGPT here was able to give different interpretations, it was trained. Okay, it was trained properly. So it is said that these artificial intelligence models are like children. A child, when the child is born, up to an age, it has to be taught, it has to be trained. Trained by whom? Society, friends, parents, etc. Only when they are trained, then they will be able to take critical decisions, independent thinking, etc, and lead on the life. Generative AI is nothing but a child here. When it was established, it was like a child. After the child is born, after the child is growing up, you have to train it. Okay, so the training here is based on a data. A data is fielded into the ChatGPT for its training. How do you train it? With the help of data. And where does this data come from? Does ChatGPT or OpenAI company brings data on its own? No, the data is again collected from open sources. So such as internet, etc, books, etc. With the help of those data, that data will be fielded in ChatGPT, and based on this, ChatGPT is trained. And with the help of data which is already present here, and based on the training, whenever you ask ChatGPT a particular question, it will go back into the data and picks up the particular data from the memory lane and then brings the answer here. Okay, so this is the process. Now, when I said the data is taken from open sources, in certain cases, this data is not exactly taken from open sources. Instead, this data or the information is taken from a source which is copyrighted, okay, which is copyrighted in the sense they own the copyright, the particular individual owns the copyrights and he has the ability for others not to use it. Okay, he has the right that I can use it, I can help others use it, but I can also decide who should and who should not use it. Okay, that is the copyright here. When this data is trained on this copyrighted material, this is when the issue arises. Okay, so most of the owners of these copyrighted contents are going to the judiciary saying that they have used my copyrighted content and generated their own content that violates my IPR, that violates my right to privacy, that violates my intellectual property rights. That is the issue here. And the two cases which are highlighted in this article is, or in this video is, first one is with respect to Anthropic case. What is Anthropic? It is a company which has its own large language model called as Claude. Okay, so the case is Bart's and other sources Anthropic. What were the allegations? Allegations were they said that it used pirated content such as Books 3 shadow library to train Claude models. The pirated content itself is illegal. That pirated content, most of the times what happens here is the pirated content is taking the copyrighted content away from the copyrights and then using it for certain uses. Now the artificial intelligence is not directly using the copyrighted content. Instead, it is going through pirated content to train Claude models. The ruling here is the judge was Aslap. He ruled that AI's use of data was transformative. Understand the keyword. And thus it was not considered as illegal, but it was considered as fair use. It covered under fair use. Okay, he said that they have taken it from the pirated data and they have changed certain terms and conditions here and there. They have changed the certain terms and certain interpretations here and there. So it is not the original data or original content. Instead, it is transformative content. So they said that AI does not replicate but generates a new content based on this data. So it said that the generation of new content is transformative. But the pirated book storage is infringement. The trial to determine damage in December 2024. Okay, they said that the artificial intelligence is not the culprit here, but this pirated content, that is Books 3 shadow library, it is an infringement on right to IPR. Okay. Next, in a similar case, which was against Meta case, the case name was Silverman and others versus Meta. Meta have their own large language model that is called as Llama. It was trained again on Book S3, LibGen, Anna's Archive. All these are pirated libraries. Okay. So when the case went to the court, the Meta's defense was it applied mitigations to prevent reproduction of copyrighted content. They said that we only use the copyrighted content to train our model and we are not using the exact copyrighted content. The ruling was of that no proof of market harm, AI is a response not similar to original text and there was no infringement proved. Okay, you can see the trend here. Most of the both cases are legally in favor of artificial intelligence, legally, because they are not able to find any particular violations. But court did acknowledge ethical and legal gray areas and called for creator compensation. They also called for creator compensation, saying that you might have mistakenly used this pirated content, but the content belongs to a particular individual who is the owner. So you have to compensate that owner because you are using his content. Okay, so these are the ethical implications. These are the ethical and legal implications here. And these are not the only two cases. There are overall 21 plus lawsuits going on in the USA over the AI training data. AI tools like ChatGPT trained on hundreds of billions of tokens, including books, articles, and codes. Book S3 dataset used in both Anthropic and Meta cases contains 7 million plus pirated books. So, who is the culprit here? Is it the book S3 dataset, or is it the data? Is it the language models, or is it the companies which use this pirated data to train their artificial intelligence? That are the issues that has to be addressed now. Then, What are the legal concepts involved here? There are legal as well as ethical concepts. So very important. In legal concept, the first one is fair use. That is, it is a legal doctrine allowing limited use of copyrighted material without permission for purposes such as criticism, research, and education. Okay, so the first case here where Claude used the book S3 data set for the training, they said that it was under the fair use because it was used for research and education. Then transformative use, when a new work adds a new meaning, message, or utility, it may be considered transformative and qualify as a fair use. Again, same case with respect to llama. Finally, market dilution, that is, if a new work negatively impacts the market of the original, example, a free AI biography competing with an author's book, it can be considered as infringement. Okay, there is an author's book on his own life of biography, and based on that book there is another free AI biography of the individual, then it is going to come in conflict with the market. Okay, no person is going to buy the original book, instead they will go to artificial intelligence for reading the summary, then it is considered as infringement. Okay, again, there was a similar case was filed in India with respect to Google overview. Okay, it was filed in European Union. What is this Google overview? You go to internet, you search google.in, and when you type a particular question, for example, you have doubts with respect to certain environmental issues. Okay, environmental issues, or suppose with respect to the excavations. Okay, you go and search in the Google that have certain doubts with respect to the explanations. Before 4-5 months, what used to happen is there were certain websites. Okay, website number 1, website number 2, website number 3, 1, 2, 3. These were different websites. It used to show websites based on their content use, based on their popularity. You used to click this website and then learn about a particular topic. Okay, it used to increase the traffic here for these sites, and it used to help in generating revenue. How? By clicks. The websites generate the profit by clicks, and by also the ads. Okay, generate the profit by ads. Now when the Google overview was started, what happened here was, before these 4 websites there is one more column. In that column there is a small box with respect to Google, and here there is Google overview. That is, any topic, Google, it provides an AI generated content on this one. How? It is going to search through all the websites present in Google database, and then based on that it is providing the data here. Now what happens here is, even if there is next 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., websites are there, do you think people are going to click these websites? No. Why? Because they are getting the content here itself. If they are getting the content here itself, then what is the need to go into these websites? Their complaint was, if people are going to just search the overview, then the traffic for these websites is going to reduce. If the traffic is reducing, obviously it will reduce the revenue because ads are also less. So that was their case. Google's argument was that if I am providing the overview here, I am also giving the links here. The links are provided only after the explanation is done, and only when you expand the tab there will be certain small links here. That was Google's justification. And also it said that if you are searching more on the Google, and it is going to bring or increase traffic, and it is also going to help in searching the website. That was the justification. Now one of the case was, initially the ads revenue was going to the websites. Now what happens here is, when you expand the tab of overview, there are ads in overview itself. Okay, ads in overview itself. So Google is making money out of the ads of different contents here. So that was again another issue that is going on in European Union at the moment. So you have to wait and see how it is going to unfold. Okay, see the complications with respect to artificial intelligence. Okay, these are things which you see every day, but you do not understand what this is and how it is impacting other conditions or other people here. Okay, that is the issue. Legally it might be fine, but ethically it is wrong. Okay, then see here market dilution. It is that Google overview, it is diluting the market of other websites. Okay, then global and Indian implications. The impacts at the global level is it sets precedent for AI copyright law. Though not final, most cases are still in early stages. May influence pending lawsuits against OpenAI, Microsoft, Stability AI, and Getty Images. That they can be considered as transformative and not market distortion, and then they will be said only under the fair use. Okay, calls for industry-wide licensing mechanisms based on similar to how music streaming pays royalties. Okay, when you search a particular individual's music, and if they are present in a particular website, for example Spotify, for example JioSaavn, the part of revenue or like revenue which is generating from the songs, it is paid to the singers as well. So that should be the case with respect to this also. There can be a mid-term or medium compensation shall be provided to the owners as well. Then India specific concerns. Recently, there was a case with respect to ANI and OpenAI. It was the first major copyright lawsuit against AI training. ANI is a news channel in India or news website in India which filed a case against OpenAI. And Digital News Publishers Association, representing Indian Express, HT, Hindustan Times, and NDTV, has joined the complaint as well. However, India lacks a specific regulation on AI training data, making it vulnerable to content exploitation. Okay, so it is no longer an issue of global level, it is also the issue of India at the moment now. If these are the legal issues, then what are the ethical implications or ethical concerns here? Though legally artificial intelligence might be right, but ethically they are wrong. So, ethical and scientific issues. One is obviously it is resulting sorry, obviously it is going to result in loss of livelihoods. That is, artists, writers, and coders may see reduced opportunities due to generative AI outputs. Okay, especially this. In ChatGPT, there was recently a trend that is generating Ghibli art. Generating Ghibli art. Me, you, everyone was a culprit to this one. Previously, what used to happen was if you wanted your image to be generated as a Ghibli art, you used to pay to the artist. They used to paint it, they used to draw it, and then provide you for a particular amount. Okay, it used to generate remuneration for them. Now, because with the help of Ghibli art, now it is being done by ChatGPT. The jobs of artisans or artists are going away, and also the coders. Previously, the coding was considered one of the most difficult jobs. Okay, and the people who were coding were in almost always in demand. Now, what happens here is because the ChatGPT or AI models are already trained on the particular data sets, we are trained on the codes. Now they are able to generate code itself. So here also the coders are losing their jobs. Second, creative ownership. This is a very complicated issue here. AI generates derivative work, but who owns it? Who owns it? And the model and the developer or the creator of training the data. Who is the real owner? Okay, for example, I'll give the example. In Instagram, you might be seeing some reels in Instagram. Okay, you might see some funny reels. Okay, for example, Narendra Modi singing, or like any MS Dhoni singing, etc., etc. Okay, here they might be singing a song of Taylor Swift, they might be singing a song of any Indian singers. Now, who owns this content? The person who created the imagery or the person who created the animation using the songs, or the song owner, or whether is it the owners or Narendra Modi or MS Dhoni. Who is the owner here? This is the issue. Then transparency issues. That is, tech companies often do not disclose training data sources, undermining the accountability. They can easily go to a particular website and pirate the content and then train the model. So there is lack of transparency in training as well. So recently there was an issue related to ChatGPT training model in the USA. Many said that ChatGPT used the pirated content, ChatGPT used this method, there was no transparency, and an Indian engineer who was part of ChatGPT like highlighted certain concerns in this one. And 4 or 5 days later, he was mysteriously found dead in his apartment. So that is how like grave, or that is how complicated the issue has become. So these are certain issues which you should be knowing. Now, excuse me. So what should be the way forward for India? One is bringing AI and copyright law reform. That is, frame clear IPR guidelines for AI training data, require transparency in training sources used by AI models. Then for creator compensation framework should be provided. That is, create content licensing platforms for AI companies as with music royalties. If you're using our music and if you're gaining something out of it, then provide the royalty. Same thing, if you're using you are generating something with respect to using our content, then pay something to us. Fund a Creative Commons for all, where creator chooses terms for AI training use. Okay, and finally, for functioning on digital infrastructure, build secure rights management systems to protect Indian content, use blockchain to track content usage and attribution, and finally focusing on collaboration and global advocacy, because it has to be a concerted effort. If it is going to be individual country, then it is not going to address the issues, because a person can sit in some other country and copyright the patent or copyright the issue and override the patent there. So work with WIPO, OECD and UNESCO to develop global ethical frameworks. Also push for AI copyright treaties under the international law. So these are the important points which I want to discuss here. So it was a very interesting topic. So very lots of things which were very significant from legal and ethical aspects as well, which can be used in your ethics, GS2 or even in essay as well. So if you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.